All right, welcome back to WMMA now with your host Chuck Stevenson. So let's talk about Seo Hee Ham versus Tecia Torres. Up until a few weeks ago, how did I never realize that this was a fight that I badly wanted to see? It came to me right after Tecia Torres just got done defeating Brianna Van Buren, and I thought, man, how have I never realized that Ham versus Torres is like a must-see fight for me? And I hope it is for you too, because you have two fighters that are primarily strikers, fun fighting styles. I think that if this fight were to somehow happen, it would be fireworks. And it's a shame that it didn't happen, because while Ham is back at her home at atomweight, she was at strawweight for a while. She was in the UFC for several fights. And whereas Torres, she's always been a strawweight and has been with the UFC for longer than she wasn't with the UFC. And it's a shame that this fight never happened, because they were at different trajectories, when they were both in the UFC. So let's take a look at this fight here. Let's start off with tail of the tape. So you look at their records. Ham obviously has the more experience, 23-8. To Torres being 11-5, but both of them have a lot of high-level experience. Now, Ham is a few years older, 33-30. Both seem to be right in the prime of their careers. Ham's slightly taller, 5 feet 2 inches, 158 centimeters. To Torres is 5 feet 1 inch, 155 centimeters. And Ham has a ever so slight reach advantage of 62 inches, 157 centimeters. To Torres is 61 inches, 155 centimeters. So Torres, you have identical reach and height. So, per usual with Torres, she's the slightly shorter fighter, but not necessarily smaller, because she is built like a brick shithouse. Now, both of these fighters come from a striking base, but they also have the ground game to back it up. And that's what helps make them so effective strikers, is that they're not afraid to get taken down, because they have good takedown defense, they know they can get back up, and they know that they're effective enough on the ground to fight off most other fighters, wrestling and submission games. Like I mentioned, both have strong takedown defense. Now, Torres has a very strong anti-wrestling game designed to stifle or shut down, wrestlers and grapplers. That's how she usually manages to stay on her feet. She combines the takedown defense with a strong get back up game, and she's also good at shutting down fighters that actually manage to take her down. Now, Ham, she's a little more willing to work off of her back. She has a very underrated ground game, in my opinion, particularly her triangle choke. Now, she doesn't always get fighters to choke them out with it, but she uses it very good defensively, because if she locks you in it, even if she's not getting a tap, she's basically stopping you from doing anything else. She had Ayaka Hamasaki in it, I think, for over 3 minutes in the second round of their fight back on New Year's Eve. And moving along into their striking game. Both come from kickboxing backgrounds. Torres is like a karate, taekwondo. Ham is more like traditional Western kickboxing. Both of their styles revolve around being able to move forward and be the aggressor, as it were. As in, they're always trying to control the cage, control where the fight is going. Both of them want to move forward. For Torres, her style is built off of being aggressive, fast-moving, like a whirlwind style that requires, her to be constantly aggressive, for her to always be moving and throwing strikes. Now, Ham, she moves forward, but as she's moving forward, she's sending out feelers and she's sending out feints. She's looking to draw her opponent into exchanges so that she can counter her opponent's strikes. So while they're both moving forward, they're doing it for different reasons. Their styles differ as far as what they're exactly looking to do as they move forward. Another thing to take into account is that you have orthodox Torres and southpaw Ham. You know, the age-old question of southpaw versus orthodox, everything that comes with it. You know, southpaws, they have no problem finding, you know, right-handed sparring partners, whereas if you're an orthodox fighter, sometimes it can be a little hard finding a good southpaw, not only to train specifically to fight the southpaw, but to train to find an opponent or a sparring partner, as it were, who's not only a southpaw, but can also emulate your opponent's style. That gets a little bit harder. So there's some neat subtleties going on with that southpaw versus orthodox battle. Now for weaknesses, Ham tends to start slow. Okay, if she were to fight Torres and comes out and she's a little bit of a slow starter, she could easily fall behind because Torres is going to come out, she's going to come out aggressive, and she's going to look to start landing strikes and score on the judges' scorecards. Whereas Torres, you know, if she allows herself to get bullied, to get pressured, she doesn't do as good. You know, her style is about moving forward. She's based on forward attacks. She's not a counter striker. So Ham is the more effective counter striker, whereas Torres, if she isn't moving forward, she has a lot of trouble. Now for things for each fighter to watch out for. For Torres, she's got to watch out for Ham's left. That is Ham's biggest weapon, is that left hand. She sends out the right hand. She's pawing with it. She's feeling with it. She looks to grab her opponent's jab hand, her opponent's lead hand. If she grabs her opponent's lead hand, she sends out that left. Or she sends out the right. Instead of jabbing, she's like pawing, and boom, pawing, boom, sending out that left. So Torres has got to watch out for that left hand because it's always cocked for Ham. And you might know it's coming, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to properly prepare for it, that you're going to be ready for it. It doesn't mean you're going to be able to stop it or avoid it. Now for Ham, she needs to be prepared for Torres' kicks. Because Torres, you know, she's called the tiny tornado for a reason. The punches, and especially the kicks, they come hard, they come fast. She throws a good variety of them. She throws low kicks, she throws kicks to the body, she'll throw them up high. She throws them hard and fast. So Ham is going to need to watch for those kicks from Torres. Big question would be, what weight should they fight at? Well, you know, Ham's been fighting at atom weight for the past several years now. Last year, she fought exclusively at Rizin super atomweight class, which moves from 108 to from 105, she moved up to 108. Torres has only ever fought at strawweight, whereas Ham has fought at strawweight in the past, as I mentioned earlier. I think ideally, like a 110, like meet in the middle, I think would be an ideal weight class. Now, as far as environment, you know, would they fight in a cage or the ring? Well, I see no problem with fighting in a cage. Torres, she's only ever fought in a cage, whereas Ham, she seems to do a little bit better in the ring, but she herself has said that she prefers to fight in a cage, and I think part of that has to do with if she gets taken down, she can wall walk back up. But I mean, if both fighters prefer the cage, then obviously no problem fighting in the cage. As for who would win, this is the hardest one for me, because to pick one of them means that the other would have to lose, and these are two fighters that I have been ride or die with since day one of their careers. And if you know how long Ham has been fighting, I'm giving up my age a little bit and how long I've been following the sport. So it's really hard to pick a winner here for me. If I'm forced to, I think I'd go with Torres. I think her aggression, I think her pressuring style, the fact that she is going to throw a much higher volume than Ham will, is eventually going to score better on the judges, no matter what the scoring system. Whether it's the unified in UFC, whether it's Road FC type scoring, which is infinite points scoring system, if it's open scoring like Rizin uses or one. I think no matter what, eventually that's going to help Torres, is the fact that she's going to throw a higher volume. She doesn't throw with as much power as Ham does, particularly in the punches, but that volume is going to, it's going to rack up. So I think I'd have to go with Tecia Torres on that one. And darn you all for making me choose. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this fight. Of course, it's a fantasy fight. Not likely to ever happen. Unfortunately, I think it would be fireworks. It would be must-see TV. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Of course, if you like the video, give it a like. And hey, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to WMMA now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.